Good morning, everybody. It's Victoria Thomas here in the training department. I also have our social media specialist, Maddie Morgan, on the line with me. Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping things. I want to remind everybody that you are all muted. So if you want to find that question panel for me in the GoToWebinar panel that should be up on your screen, remember that you can type in any questions there. We're actually going to have a session in kind of the middle of the presentation where Maddie's going to ask for some feedback. So we'd really appreciate if you can type that in there. The other thing I want to kind of recommend is that as we go through, we're going to do some quick little brainstorming sessions just to kind of get you thinking about things. And Maddie's going to have a couple of prompts. So I recommend just grabbing something to write with so that you can jot some things down as we go. We are going to go through it pretty quickly. So just a reminder that this will be recorded. So you can always come back to it and do those exercises again. So with all of that, I think we are ready to get started. And I'm going to let Maddie take it away.
Hi guys, thanks so much for joining on this dreary Friday morning. Like Victoria said, my name's Maddie. I am the new social media specialist here at the corporate office. So I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you in person, hopefully soon. So thanks for joining. So first things first, a little housekeeping thing. If you have not already, go ahead and like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. On both channels, we provide great content on that's easily shared to your pages. We kind of take the guesswork out of providing consumer-facing content. So if you haven't already, go ahead and hit like and follow. So what is the point of all of this? Okay, social media is a free tool at your fingertips to market your brand and launch your real estate career. There are definitely some tips and tricks that can take this to the next level, but none of that matters if you don't ever start posting or engaging, okay? So how do you start using social media to launch your business? That's where I come in. So first, I don't want you to necessarily think of it as social media. I think that phrase kind of turns people off a little bit. It's not just for kids. It's not just a place to post memes or talk politics. It's a great platform for you to brand yourself, to market yourself, make connections, and build relationships. And the best part about it is it's completely free to use. So you could go door knock, you can do mailers, print marketing, those sorts of things are great. But you could also take it to social media for free on your phone. It's right here in your hands, totally convenient. So let's not think about the next 40 minutes or so together as a quote unquote social media talk. It's all about marketing your brand to the masses. And I'm gonna be here to give you tips and tricks to all make it easier. So let's lay a foundation real quick. Let's break it down. Everyone remembers learning who, what, where, when, why, how in grade school, right? Well, that's what we're going to do here. So I want this to be as interactive as possible in this virtual setting, like Victoria said. So if you don't already have one, go ahead and get out a pen and paper and follow along. Feel free to ask questions along the way. Like Victoria said, there will be a few times where I ask you to jump into the comments and participate. Victoria is going to help me man the comments. So let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so first we have your who. The who is you. You are your brand, and your brand is the story you share. It's what makes you unique, okay? Why are you in this business? What are you hoping to accomplish? What makes you different? Before any form of marketing can be successful, you have to know your who. If you're hearing crickets on social media, it could be because you're trying to market your business instead of marketing you and your brand. Okay, so the difference between branding and marketing, branding is the who, it's the emotion and the story behind your why. Whereas marketing is the how, it's how you share the story. And we'll, toward the end, we'll cover this, like the how is social media in this case. So there's enough real estate pie to go around for everybody, but the reason that somebody chooses to work with me is going to be different than the reason they choose to work with you. So what is that difference? That difference is what your brand is, okay? So people don't buy your what, they buy your why. If you haven't had the chance already, take some time to watch the TED Talk by Simon Sinek, The Start With Why. It's really inspiring and it really makes you think about how you market yourself. Honestly, the first time I watched it, I walked away feeling like I could be president if I start now and change my messaging. It's really great. So the idea behind it is that every person on the planet knows what they do, but very few people know why they do it. So why you do it is not a profit or to make money. A profit is a result. Your why is your cause, it's your purpose, your beliefs. Ultimately, the goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have, in this case, a house for sale. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. So if you don't know why you sell houses, how will you get somebody to buy a house from you when a million other people do what you do? Okay, people don't buy your what, they buy your why. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Okay, so keep that in mind for our next exercise. So this is where your pen and paper come in handy. We're going to do a quick exercise on defining your brand, okay? If you want people to really love your brand, they need to feel a connection to it. And this connection is what creates strong loyalty that ultimately grows into clients feeling invested in you and in your brand. So I'm going to throw some questions at you, and I want you to come up with at least 3 bullet points for each of them. Don't overthink it. You're only going to get about 30 seconds or so on each question. So I'll read it, and the first words that come to mind, write them down, okay? So the first one is, what are you selling? Okay, dig deeper than homes or Tucker or real estate services. Okay, what are you selling? 30 seconds. Okay, next, what is your brand? Your brand is the image that potential clients have of your business. It's your why. Okay, so 30 seconds. What are your boundaries? These can be physical boundaries or even that you're choosing not to talk about politics or religion online. Maybe you're choosing never to post photos of your kids. Whatever your boundaries are, you have 30 seconds.
I think this is where we need some Jeopardy music.
do, do, do. I could sing, but I don't think anybody would enjoy that. Okay, and last, what stories do you want to tell?
Just really quick to reiterate, TRA just asked boundaries for social media or for in our business. And I think we're focused more on boundaries in social media here.
Yes, more boundaries for social media. But you can use any boundaries that you have for your business as well.
True. If it's something in your business that maybe translates into a social media habit or boundary.
Yeah, for sure. Good question. All right, I gave you a little bit longer on what stories do you want to tell. So, okay, so we're going to do the same activity with defining your audience. So to tell your brand story, you have to know who your audience is. The more detail you can get, the better. Ultimately, social media isn't for you, it's for them, it's for your client. You're selling to people who believe what you believe. Okay, so pretend you're having a conversation with a potential client. What do you know about their daily lives? What are their hobbies? What situations will they relate to? What value are you providing to them? You want to be specific when it comes to describing this person. Ultimately, you want to know how your brand, your why, can be a solution for them. Okay, so don't overthink it again. You're only going to get 30 seconds for each question. There's only 3 this time, so. So your first one is, who is your audience? So think demographics here. How old are they? Are they male or female? What's their income and education level? What are they interested in outside of the services that you're offering to them? 30 seconds. Next, what is their motivation? Okay, and last, what is your meaning in their life? So what purpose are you fulfilling for them? What problem are you solving for them? How are you simplifying their lives? Okay, so now that you have kind of an outline of your brand and you have an idea of who you're appealing to, you can start to think about your content. So your what is content. It can definitely be overwhelming to think about posting something meaningful or substantial every single day. Definitely don't post just for the sake of posting, just because you need to get something out there to your audience for today. Make sure what you're posting has some value. So how do you do that? Document, don't create. Gary Vaynerchuk is an investor, an entrepreneur that basically explains that you can ponder all you want about the strategy behind every post and fabricate yourself into this quote unquote influential person, or you can just be yourself, be authentic. You already have this audience of friends and family who know you and love you just the way you are, so be yourself. Think of it this way, documenting is like the real world or keeping up with the Kardashians. It's real things happening to real people. Whereas creating is like Friends or Star Wars. It's a story, it's not real, okay? Sorry to my Star Wars fans, may the 4th be with you. So take HGTV, for example, stands for Home and Garden Television. So what stories do they tell? They tell stories about home and garden because that's their brand. And they're not creating all these different shows to keep your interest. They're documenting the real things that happen to real people, and it works. How often do you watch HGTV? You know, I watch it all the time. I know I do. So it appeals to people to document like your day-to-day life, like what you're really going through, versus creating something that creating this idea of a person that you think they want. So at this point, this is where I want to hear from you guys. So jump in the comments and let me know what are some of the stories you guys came up with during the branding exercise. Or if you have any ideas for document, don't create, like what sorts of ideas come to mind when we say that? Okay, so some things to consider with your content. The first one is consistency is key. So we work in real estate, so knowing the outline of the brand that you just put together helps you navigate what is post-worthy and what is something you should maybe avoid posting about. So if you're out and about and come across something you want to post, run it through your brand outline, okay? So is this post consistent with the brand that you've just put together? Is it authentic to you? Engagement is another big one to consider. So picture this, you're scrolling through Facebook and you only see content from the same 20 friends or so. How do you make sure that your content is showing up? The key is engagement, okay? So you have to play the engagement game. If you plan on posting and never engaging, you won't have a successful business on social media. So what do I mean by engagement? Think of social media as a party. So you're at this party, you're talking to people, you're mingling. When other party goers start a conversation with you, do you just nod at them, give them a smile, walk away? No, you say something back. You're interacting with them. You're having a conversation, and interacting with your audience on social media is the same thing. So not just liking their comment or reacting to it, not just responding with emojis. Unfortunately, likes and emojis don't count towards your engagement. Comments are key. So you want to reply, I almost just said reply and respond, so that just came out weird. Reply to their comments with 4 words or more. So meaningful, substantial comments create meaningful connections, all right? So the next thing to consider when thinking about content is this concept of jab, 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 right hook. When you're posting on social media, you need to be giving more than you're asking for return. In other words, you want to provide more helpful content before asking them to buy your listing. You can't just post your listings, that's not effective. So the idea is that you're giving to build trust and to establish a relationship with your audience before asking them to do something for you. So some examples of jabs, educational material about the market. You could post about a new restaurant, this or that post that asks your audience to engage and choose which living room style they prefer. Personal information about you and your interests, okay? Opening up and being vulnerable to build that trust. And then you can hit them with the right hook. You've provided all this valuable content, you've gotten personal and shown them what's important to you. Now you're going to ask them to sign up for your CRM email, or to buy your listing, or set up a consultation. Your right hook has a call to action. That's the difference. So your jab, 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 that's like, here's some information about this, here's some information about this. And then the right hook is sign up, meet with me, let's do business, that sort of thing. So the way that I try to relate this jab, 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 right hook concept is you can't go on a first date and ask somebody to marry you right then and there. Okay, I mean, you could, but I think your success rate is going to be a little lower. So you have to spend time getting to know them before you ask them to make such a huge commitment, okay? Social media for real estate is the same way. Okay, and the last one is to go beyond just posting listing photos. So posting pictures of listings is an obvious one for real estate social media marketing, but you want to be more creative when publishing your real estate content. So for example, sharing success stories and client testimonials is a great way to emotionally engage with your audience. Maybe don't share just photos of the property, but also some content around the neighborhood surrounding it. You know, if you have a listing in South Broad Ripple, maybe talk about the Monon or the shops at 54th, you know, that sort of thing. Provide neighborhood content. Industry and market trends are always a good real estate content-y sort of thing to post. The Market Watch is actually going out today on Facebook, spoiler alert. Speaking of the Tucker Facebook page, it is always a great place to find content. If you're not sure what to post, check out that page. We put a lot of effort into creating great content for you guys to share. All right, next we have our where. Your where are your platforms. Okay, so no matter where you post, the same rules still apply. You want to stay true to your brand, stay true to your message, stay consistent, engage with your audience, and always provide value. So you can't be present on all of these different platforms all the time and always provide great content. You'll be spread too thin, like there's no way. So I recommend choosing one or two of them and sticking with those. So how do you choose a platform? There's so many things to consider. It's impossible to find time to be active on every outlet out there. So narrowing down your choice to just a select few platforms will allow you to focus your efforts and get a better return on investment. So like I said, choose one or two and run with those. For me, using Facebook is a no-brainer. Facebook's user demographics represent the target audience for any given real estate transaction. So no matter what age or income you defined, they are more than likely represented in some capacity on Facebook. So I'm going to go ahead and confidently say that if you're not already on Facebook, you should be. 90% of realtors are already using Facebook. So a few questions to ask when you're choosing a platform. The first one is, who is your target audience? Who is the ideal client you outlined in the activity we just did? What's the age demographic you're trying to reach with your social media? Over 80% of Instagram users are under the age of 34. So if you're planning to sell homes strictly to baby boomers, Facebook might be a more suitable platform for you. The next one is, what are your goals for that audience? You know, some brands use social to drive brand recognition or develop relationships with potential buyers. Others use social media for customer support. Like Netflix has a Twitter handle called @NetflixHelps that's just for customer service issues. So the goal for them is to free up their phone lines, but it also ends up giving satisfied customers a chance to promote the brand right there on Twitter where they just got their question answered. So think about your goals for your audience. When it comes to choosing a platform, brainstorm a list of ways you want social media to work for you. Are you more comfortable posting from your desktop or from your phone? Instagram is a photo sharing app, for example. There is a desktop version, but the functionalities are limited. So to fully utilize something like Instagram, you got to trade in your desktop or your smartphone. If you prefer a desktop application, Facebook, LinkedIn, or an email campaign might be the best way to go. And then finally, are you ready to get more personal? You know, we just talked about being vulnerable and building trust with your audience. And what makes Instagram and Facebook or even Snapchat great is the ability for followers to get a behind the scenes look into your business. Those platforms are great for letting you get a little more personal. Okay, so we covered our who, our what, our where, and now on to when. When is just be consistent. Do you see a pattern yet? Consistency is key. There's a lot of chatter out there about algorithms and when is the best time to post and how often to post. And honestly, it differs per industry. So my advice is to just post and do it regularly. You know, don't get too hung up on algorithms. For me, it's most important for you to understand how to find your own account's best time to post than to worry about the global trends. So start posting regularly and just be aware of how your posts are doing during certain times of day. So if you don't get a ton of engagement on a post, try posting at a different time or even on a different day completely. You know best when it comes to how well your posts are doing and when your audience is online. So if you're not sure where to start, my advice would be to think about what works for you and be realistic about what you're willing and able to do. So if you're not already posting regularly, maybe aim for 1 or 2 times a week. If you are already posting that often, try 4 or 5 times a week. Just do what is realistic and works for you. The more consistent you are and the more engagement you provide, the more overall exposure you're going to get. Again, don't overthink it. Just pick X number of posts per week and try sticking to that. So why use social media? Your why is because real estate is online. Did you know that each person spends about 2 hours a day on social media? That's just an average, but like 2 hours. You know, so many people, especially during this quarantine time, are online, so use it to your advantage. Social media marketing is a huge part of marketing strategies for all businesses, and real estate is no exception. Recently, NAR, National Association of Realtors, did a study and found that 77% of realtors actively use social media for real estate in some way, shape, or form. 47% of real estate businesses note that social media results in the highest quality leads versus other sources. And another fun one that I didn't put up there, 99% of millennials and 90% of baby boomers begin their home search online as opposed to in-person referrals. So the translation to all this information is that social media is an absolute gold mine for real estate businesses. I said it before and I'll say it again, social media is a free tool, literally at your fingertips to market your brand and launch your real estate career. So take your business to where the people are. The people are online. Okay, so from earlier, we talked about how your brand is the who, it's the emotion and the story behind your why. Marketing is the how, and in this case, the how is social media. So a few apps that I like to use that help. Let's start with photo editing apps. So creating a cohesive look, especially on Instagram, is more visually appealing to potential clients. The more people that like what you see, the more likely they are to trust and engage with your brand. And the more engagement you get, the more potential clients you can get, which is ultimately the goal. So personally, I like to use Adobe Lightroom. There are a ton of other photo editing apps, so if that one doesn't work for you, don't stress. I like it because it's easy to upload presets and use them to create a consistent look. You can also easily edit photos in Instagram, which is an app you most likely already have on your phone. This is a great option if you're not looking for professional level editing capabilities. You can do it right there on Instagram, post right there. So some posting apps that I like to use to add a little oomph to my posts. WordSwag is great for text or for quotes. You can really easily make text layouts that would normally take you more time, but just like with a simple tap. And it comes with tons of captions, so you're never stuck trying to come up with something to say. So I like that one. HashMe might be one of my favorite apps, actually. How many of you know you should be using hashtags, but find yourself wondering, well, what hashtags do I add? Probably everybody. So HashMe is a hashtag generator. So all you have to do is type in a word related to your post, and it'll spit out a bunch of related hashtags for you to use. So if you download anything after today, I would definitely download this. It makes your life a lot easier. Canva is an app that gives you a big selection of templates to create everything from cards to Facebook posts to posters. I like it because you can set up branding on it. So whenever I use Canva, I already have all the Tucker colors and the Let's Talk font already uploaded into it, and it makes it super easy to keep your branding consistent and then just upload your own photos and export the design when you're done and ready to post it. Repost is like an Instagram app. It makes it really easy to repost photos and videos that you find on Instagram. It's really important when you're reposting things to give credit to the original poster. You should always do this, whether using the Repost app or not. So you need to make sure that you're honoring the creator's work and not stealing for your own marketing purposes. Some people are user-generated content is people's own creative work, so you want to make sure that you are giving credit where credit is deserved. So Repost is a great app for that. You just copy the link from Instagram and open the app, and it'll kind of like automatically populate. The last one on here is Ripple. So Ripple has a lot of the same functionalities as Canva in terms of templates and branding, but I really like it for its ability to create branded videos. So you can upload a couple pictures of your new listing and create a short video with captions and your logo with pretty little effort. So it's kind of cool, a different way to post listing photos without just posting the front elevation. Okay, so let's move on to scheduling apps. I see a few. Oh, Victoria, you got the Hashme.
Yep, but we did just get a question from Janet about, are the posting apps for both mobile and desktop? I know that like Canva is going to be a desktop-based program. It does have an app as well, but I like to use it on a desktop. But a lot of the other things like Hashme and WordSwag and things, they're going to be apps for your mobile devices.
Yes, correct. Even with Hashme though, if you wanted to use it, have it as an app, but you can always copy the hashtags down and email it to yourself if you prefer to use it on a desktop. There's kind of like a way around that, but the rest of them are definitely mobile applications. Okay, so scheduling apps, I really like Planoly. It's going to be the first one I go over for scheduling posts on Instagram. Facebook has its own scheduling functionality, but Instagram doesn't. So I use Planoly to schedule posts and to plan like aesthetically pleasing layouts, if that's your sort of thing. You can kind of plan them all out and make sure they align and that sort of thing. So check that out. I think Later is another Instagram scheduling app that I've heard great things about. I also really use Google Calendar to like physically schedule my posts. I like to be able to lay it all out and see what I have planned, so I make sure I'm not scheduling too many similar posts back to back. And then Trello is a great list making app. It can really help you plan your content into categories. So I primarily use it to track the status of the Tucker blog articles. So, having a category for brainstorming blog content and then assigning it to a writer and then tracking when it comes back in and then when I actually physically post it. It's a list maker's dream, truly. So check that one out as well. Those are the apps that I most often use that make my life a little bit easier. I would love to hear if you guys have apps that you use that you can't live without. If you do, either put them in the comments or send them my way and I'll check them out. Okay, so at the end of the day, social media revolves around three things. This was a ton of content, but just come back to this. It It revolves around posting. So be consistent with your brand message and with how often you post. Engagement, do this a lot. Make sure you're commenting back with 4 or more words in your comments, not just liking or reacting or adding emojis. And then expanding your network. You want to be consistently adding or following new people on your social platforms. You know, if you're not consistently growing, you know, it's social media, you're not doing your social media business any justice. So I know we flew through that pretty quickly. There is a recording of it that will go out. I encourage you to listen back to it and really brainstorm. And if you have any further questions, feel free to shoot me an email. My email is up there on the screen, or I'll hang around here for a few more minutes to answer any questions in the comment box. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining and bearing with me, and enjoy your weekend.
Awesome. We did just get a question, Maddie, and I don't know the answer to this one because I've never used any of the scheduling apps. Are they mobile only, or does like Planoly or Trello, can you use that on a desktop version?
You can. There is a desktop version of both Trello and Planoly, and actually I find myself using the desktop version more often because the screen's a little bit bigger and it's easier for me to look at. So there are both desktop and mobile versions of those.
Cool. Let's see. Michelle just said, fantastic content. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining, Michelle.
Thanks for the presentation. Lindsay says, I'm a new agent, and this was a great breakdown of how to effectively use social media. Awesome.
Great. Thanks for joining, Lindsay. I'm new here too, so I'm looking forward to getting to know you.
Here's a great question. TRA says, do you recommend sharing or documenting a hobby along with your business?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I like to recommend people post 80% personally and 20% about business. So you can definitely incorporate hobbies, clubs that you're in, you know, share like whatever sort of things that define you as a person. Like people want to get to know you as a human, you know, outside of just you as a realtor. So yeah, hobbies are a great thing to share. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Julie and Julia with Amy Adams and Meryl Streep. So Amy Adams' character is blogging about her experience cooking her way through Julia Child's cookbook to kind of like get out of the monotony of a work routine. So yeah, hobbies are great things to post about.
She followed that up with, sometimes I think people may hide you if they aren't into your hobby. So I guess maybe in that regard, I would just recommend that you don't have to like geek out about your hobby, you know, all of the technical things and that side of it. But I think Maddie's right. People, and I think this goes back to her point about documentation rather than creation. I think we're curious as humans, and we kind of want to see what other people are into and how they live. So I think sharing other things that you're interested in is a great idea.
And I would really recommend you go watch that Start With Why video for Simon Sinek. He really goes into how you want to work with people that believe the things that you believe. So by putting out there your hobbies and your interests, like you're automatically going to attract to the kind of people that are interested in the same things you're interested in. And ultimately, don't you want to work with people that share commonalities with you and that you can get to know on a deeper level than just like the basic platform of a business transaction?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Michelle just said, if you share your hobby and then ask what's yours. So that's a great call to action, you know, to get more engagement
absolutely.
About your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not necessarily saying, I'm really into knitting, you should also be into knitting. You know, you can say, I'm really into knitting, what's your hobby? How are you keeping yourself occupied, you know, during this time? You know, it's opening up for anybody to share.
Right. Awesome. Cool. Kelly said, loved it. Thank you so much. Great content and direction.
Thanks, Kelly.
Claire said, great job. Some good new content and some awesome reminders. We agree. All right. Anybody have any other questions right now for Maddie? We'll stick around for just a couple more seconds. Otherwise, I hope everybody has a great rest of their Friday and a great weekend. I'm glad it's Friday.
Yeah, and like I said, if anything comes up afterwards, feel free to shoot me an email. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can.
Awesome. Thanks, Maddie.
Thank you. Everybody have a good weekend.
Bye, guys.